The movie starts from 1847, where a king is shown. This king has everything: good wife, children, people, wealth, but there is no peace inside him. This king roamed a lot of temples, recited a lot of worship, has done everything, but he is not getting peace at all. Then once this king asked a pundit. Pundit said, "You should go on a journey to achieve your peace, keep looking for it until you find peace." So the king starts his journey. He goes a lot of villages around. Meets gurus. Meanwhile, one day when the king is going through the forest, this king hears a strange sound in the same forest. After hearing that sound, the king gets attracted on his own to that voice. After going a little distance, he sees that there is a rock there, and seeing that rock he starts by the rock and he starts feeling that he is hugging his mother, and then the people of that forest come there. Seeing these people, the king starts saying that in the capacity of being a king, "I request you to give me your god." Then that god comes in the body of a man there. He starts saying, "Okay, I will walk with you, but as far as my voice goes, this land will have to be given to these villagers. If you don't do this, you will be punished in this way." He starts shouting God. Meaning in this way there is a deal between that king and that god. King calls this deal okay. He gives the land of the forest to those villagers, brings that god to his house. Since then there is happiness in the life of the king. Now it shifts to 1970, all this is the story. Our hero Shiva's father is telling to Shiva, and in the same way, every year a festival named Bud Kola is celebrated in this village, and in this festival Shiva's father performs. And at the time of Kola, a family member of that king comes to this village to take back their land from these villagers. By doing makeup like god, Shiva's father start performing. During such a performance, every year the god comes to the body of Shiva's father, and whatever problem the people have, this god solves the problems of those people. If a person has a problem, then that person starts asking God. During this inquiry, a descendant of the king starts asking this god to return his land. God starts saying that this agreement has been made years ago. "I will not give you this land." This person asks, "Who is saying this thing?" Either God or the one who performs in this way. God starts saying that if you find me, then this is the performer speaking. "If you cannot find me, then my decision is firm." Saying this way, they start running into the forest. Shiva also starts running after his father. After coming to some place in the forest, the Lord suddenly disappears while roaming round, and where he disappeared, there is a fire in the circle. From that day, Shiva's father did not come to his house. A few days after that, the man who came to snatch the land, he dies by vomiting blood. Now the time shifts to 1990, where our hero is shown. At present there is some peace in this village, in which they show us the buffalo racing. Shiva wins this race, but Sudhakar starts cheating in racing, means that Shiva has won that race. But Sudhakar does not announce Shiva's name as a winner and announces the name of his men, but Shiva does not like this, and there is a tremendous fight between Shiva and Sudhakar's men. There is also a landlord named Devendra. On the contrary, the matter is solved by scolding Sudhakar. Although Sudhakar is Devendra's man, but Devendra supports Shiva, and similarly Shiva continues to work for Devendra. Now whenever Shiva and his friends get time, Shiva goes to the forest and hunts, but Shiva's mother does not like hunting Shiva, because that wild pig is their god. And the next day a new forest officer Muralidhar is transferred to that village, who is very honest. On the first day itself Muralidhar beats the people who hunt. Then Murali's senior comes to Muralidhar and says, "This village is very dangerous. The life of these people depends on the forest. These people do not obey a single government rule. Some up and down they break down on the policemen. These people have been living here for years, so you have to work by understanding this." One day Muralidhar sees that some people of the village are cutting trees and taking them to their homes. Murali starts convincing them that you are doing illegal work, you and destroying the forest. Now Shiva comes and starts saying that our life is based on the forest. Your rules will not work here. After this Shiva and his friends leave from there. After that they hunt a wild boar with local guns in their hands. After killing it, these people start partying. When Shiva is sleeping at night, Shiva has a bad dream. He feels he is a child and a wild boar is standing in front of him, which is coming close to him. Every night Shiva keeps having some bad dream, due to which Shiva wakes up from his sleep screaming. Now the next day Muralidhar comes to Devendra's house. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Devendra starts befriending Muralidhar, so that Murali is trapped in his trap and do as he says. Devendra and no one else but the son of one who was killed by vomiting blood. But after that Murali starts discussing with his senior that we will have to fence the forest according to the map. On this the senior starts explaining Murali that do not force on the villagers. After that, the next day there is a festival in the village. Then, Muralidhar hears the sound of band and firecrackers. He immediately goes there, starts convincing people to stop bursting these crackers. The next day Leela's father comes to Shiva with Leela, and tells Shiva that she has completed her training, talked to landlord Devendra to get her a good job, so Shiva takes Leela to that landlord Devendra. In this way Leela gets a job by Devendra's recommendation. The next day when Leela joins her duty, Leela comes to know that forest officers are going to put fencing in this forest. At the same time Murladhar goes to the village with some policemen with him and tells that if fencing will be imposed here, then some people's houses come inside the forest. From there those people will have to leave. Murladhar also takes the help of Sudakar's men for this work. Now seeing all this, Leela stands quietly, because Leela is on duty. On the other hand, the villagers try to stop the policeman. In the meantime a man of Sudakar raises his hand on Shiva's mother. When Shiva comes to know about this, Shiva comes there and starts beating Sudakar's men a lot. Then Muralidhar fires a gun in the air to stop Shiva. After all this, when Leela comes back to her house, all the villagers, even her father, hates Leela. Because this morning Leela could not say a single thing, Shiva also starts hating Leela, and starts covering the pit made for fencing with soil in the anger. The next day landlord Devendra calls the villagers and asks for the land papers of the villagers to file a case. When Shiva sees this thing, he starts beating Mohan a lot. Then landlord Devendra stops the fight between these two and again takes Shiva's side. Now Devendra goes to his girlfriend with Shiva. At the same night, when Shiva is alone in the forest, Shiva hears some sounds. Then Shiva starts seeing his god. In shock seeing this, Shiva starts running away from there screaming. Here Murladhar is trying to catch Shiva and his friends red-handed, but he can't. One night Shiva and his friend are cutting a big tree. On the other hand, Sudakar is sitting near Murali and drinking alcohol. Then Sudakar says he can help Murali to catch Shiva. Now Murali is going there in his jeep with Sudakar. Accidentally that cut tree falls on his jeep, both of them get injured. When landlord Devendra comes to know about this, Devendra starts scolding Shiva and his friends, and asks them to go underground. After coming out of the hospital, Murali starts thinking somehow Shiva has to be caught. Any one case will have to be put on him and he will have to be sent to jail. Shiva and his friends start living in the forest to avoid the policemen, and sometimes keep coming to the village. Once they come to a village, Muralidhar arrests Shiva and his friends, and also seizes their guns. When Murali is about to test the local gun, that gun is fired from both sides, due to which Murali has a tremendous wound near his eye, as if Muralidhar sends Shiva and his friends to jail. After this, there is Kola in the village. After Shiva's father, Shiva's brother Garuva performs. Now in Garuva's dream, his god comes and indicates Shiva will have to be released from jail. Then Garuva meets Devendra and he starts requesting that you get Shiva bailed. Devendra says, I will get Shiva out of the jail, but you assure your people that God said that make all your land on Devendra's name and you have to do this work at the time of Ghost Kola. Gaurav says no. On the same night, some people in the jeep come and put Garuva's body at the place where the ghost is Kola. The whole village becomes very sad due to Garuva's death. On the same night Shiva sees that his lord is coming to Shiva and crying. The next day Shiva comes to know that Garuva is dead. Murladhar comes to know this as well. Landlord Devendra is making the villagers fools and getting their land on his name. There is Devendra's man in Murladhar's team. Then Devendra says that Shiva will have to get out of jail. The next day Devendra tells his child the story of King and starts saying that Devendra explained to Garuva, but he did not agree it, due to which Devendra killed Garuva, and on the same night along with Sudakar, he kept Garuva's body at the place where Kola is going to celebrate it so that people consider it as a bad omen. After this Devendra gets Shiva bailed. At the night Devendra calls Shiva to him and tells him a lie that Garuva is killed by Murladhar. Shiva goes to kill Murali, but before he goes to a blacksmith to sharpen a weapon. Here Shiva comes to know that the blacksmith saw Garuva with Devendra on Thursday for the last time, and Garuva's body was brought in the same car the same night. Devendra's men were following Shiva and they hear conversation between Shiva and blacksmith and they break down on Shiva. There is a tremendous fight here again, after which Shiva goes to Devendra's house. Devendra is having dinner. Shiva sits next to him and starts eating food, and threatens him. Shiva comes to his village and tells all the people that Devendra is making us fools and he has killed Garuva. Now Devendra understands that these villagers will not understand with love. Now I have to forcibly get my land. He goes to the village with men, and at that time Murladhar is also in support of these villagers. So in this way there is a tremendous fight between the villagers and Devendra's men. During the fight, Devendra keeps shooting one of Shiva's friends with his gun, and when Shiva comes to Devendra, there is Mohan to protect Devendra. Mohan beats Shiva very badly and makes him unconscious, but then the demon god comes inside Shiva, due to which Shiva starts beating Devendra's men, and finally kills all of them. Along with Devendra. Now the scene shifts after a few months, where Shiva and Leela are married and Leela is pregnant. Again Ghost Kola is going to happen in this village, and this time Shiva performs in this Kola. During the performance, Shiva has a god inside his body. Then Shiva hears the voice of another god in the forest. Shiva immediately starts going there. at the place where Shiva's father disappeared. At the same place Shiva sees his father, as the same god, both of them start performing there again. The director has shown us that Shiva also disappeared and the movie ends.